And he talks to the food and says one of the brothers will sing, and she asks if he would sing some southern song for the babe. And Sam's like, yeah, I used to sing, but Randall Tarley is a cunt. Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Brotherhood Without Manners, your favorite full spoiler reread podcast of George R.R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire series. It's good to be back, bitches. As always, I'm your host, Zach, sitting here.
You're really drawing this out. I'm Nate. What up?
He can't handle it. He's got no patience today.
None.
He can't.
Says the guy's been rushing me for 3 hours. Now that we're finally here, he wants to just stretch it out.
Listeners, could have had this episode recorded 3 hours ago, is what he's saying to you, but he has to procrastinate. We read A Song of Ice and Fire here and talk about it. We've been reading A Storm of Swords. Nate procrastinates on it, and so episodes come out late, but we've been making our way through, chugging along.
Also a full spoiler reread.
Okay.
So then, if you haven't tuned in, or if you would like to not be spoiled, turn around now.
Valid. I mean, you're not wrong. You're just wrong because you're you. Last episode, if you joined us, we were reading Catelyn 5, which was... I'm gonna burp.
What kind of professionalism is this?
I never claimed professionalism first and foremost. You came to the wrong fucking podcast. Catelyn 5. Catelyn and her son Rob were on the march to the twins because someone's gotta get married for Rob fucking up.
Love and marriage, right. Love.
And it's all very sad, very spooky, and very gloomy, and because they're all gonna die. We know. We just think. Bye.
Right. It's the naming of the heir, the start of the GNC. Rob kind of sneaking in on Catelyn and getting all the lords of the North to bear witness to him signing whoever it was he was naming as heir.
Jon Snow. We know. Like, let's not fuck around. It's Jon Snow. And yeah, it's sad because they all die soon. But that's Cat. We're moving north, very, very far north.
Way far north.
To our friend little Samwell.
Big old Samwell.
Whoa. Samwell 3, where we're just fucking on it tonight.
Yeah.
Samwell 2 was the mutiny at Crastor's Keep, the death of George Mormont as many of the Night's Watchmen, which was how this book began, was with the planning of a coup, which was very much so interrupted by the arrival of the White Walkers and the others. And that the remnants of that picked up at Crastor's Keep, where many people were murdered. Sam, it was very well done, of course, because Martin kind of cuts away and we come back to as Sam is
escaping.
Coming to. Sam kind of sat there with cradling Mormont's head, not really believing what was happening, and that was basically how he managed to not die, was by being so insignificant. And then was approached by some of Crastor's wives who had Gilly and the babe and were like, you need to get her ass out here. And that gave Sam something worth fighting for, as craven as he thinks he is. And a
woman worth fighting for.
And Sam and Gilly vamoosed on out of there. And that's where we begin Sam 3, as they have arrived at what Sam is fucking praying is White Tree. Spoiler alert.
It's not
White Tree.
Not White Tree.
Which they had passed on their way north with Jon Snow leading it. And I love Sam's memories of Jon doing the ranging north, where he was fucking Lord Commander and not Old Bear, because he checked every single one of those buildings at White Tree himself. Sam, you hype your boys up. You a real one. So he thinks, if this is White Tree, I know where we are. If not, whoops.
Still don't know where we are then.
Yeah, he aches and pain. He wants it so bad to be White Tree that he even forgets for a second his aches and pains, forgets Crastor's Keep, forgets the Old Bear, forgets the others, all for just one tiny second, but then thinks that all the wildling villages kind of look the same, which is a little bit racist, and there's a huge weirwood that grows at the center of this village.
Racist against weirwood, like the villages?
Against the wildlings, yeah.
Against the wildlings, because they're villages in town, because they all use similar architecture?
Sure, yeah.
And so that's
Samwell is being a little...
biased towards specific architectural styles.
He's taking his southern views and check your privilege is all I'm saying, Sam. Just, A little bit.
No buttresses, and so he's pissed.
Let's turn it down.
All right.
So he thinks that White Tree's werewood had definitely been bigger than the one that's in this little small hick-ass village. And this, the werewood's face is long and sad.
And crying tears of blood.
Red
sap, but tears of blood.
So what's interesting here is that in a few chapters here, we're going to run into another face with tears, one of which potentially lands grossly in Bran Stark's mouth as he's passing through a door under the Night Fort.
Yeah.
While that tear isn't, it's more a drop of water. It's not specifically described as a tear until Bran tastes it and describes the taste as salty as a tear. But that's through a werewood door that a password is given to pass through, and then the mouth opens, and they pass through. And as they're passing through, it kind of drools on Bran, and he notes it's salty like a tear. I just think it's super interesting that Sam is looking at one that's crying, and there's going to be an interaction between Sam, Bran, Tree, Bran, Sam.
Coldhands,
it's all connected, people, you know? We're reading books here.
Come together.
There's a story playing out.
Sure.
I'm burping up a lot.
Yeah, you got some gas today, man.
Mm-hmm. So, empty houses ring the tree, but there's no people or animals or any sign of them. They all went with Mance, and Sam is grateful for that, since they'll have at least a roof to sleep under tonight, which will be nice. Yeah, hell yeah. He is so tired.
Yeah, he's been walking the whole time, because they had 2 horses, but one of them died on, day 2?
Yeah.
Day 1.5?
He thinks it's probably his weight that did it for the poor thing, but...
Which is why he obviously can't ride doubles on this one.
He notes that his shoes are worn to pieces, and the blisters on his feet had long since burst and turned to callous. His toes were getting frostbitten, which, again, this whole entire chapter, Sam is just focusing on how cowardly he is, how fat and useless, and I should fucking be dead because better men than me died to get me here, essentially. But he's not even getting the metaphor of the blisters on his feet turning to callous, getting stronger, hardening, and his toes getting frostbitten, where when sobbing, Sam took another step. Sam sobbing, he thinks about how much his feet ache more than anything in his lower back. And now it's not so much his feet hurt, but it's not that ache, it's not that pain. He's getting stronger day by day. And same with volunteering to walk. That's one of the brave, that's what basically Small Paul did. Like, Sam is not quite carrying Gilly and her babe yet, but
he's still walking every step from hundreds of miles north of the wall down to the wall. He's walking it. And even if he's not necessarily losing the weight,
he's 100% losing the weight.
Right.
What the fuck?
And so, to me, it's that, exactly like you said, he's sitting here berating himself, but it's like Ned says, the only time a man
100%,
can be
100%,
brave
is
when he's afraid. And what's more brave than this motherfucking guy escorting this woman and child?
And he's literally being hardened. His blisters are turning to callous. That pain is turning to hard leathered skin that can handle it and is toughened and hardened. Like, Sam is toughening up before us. And it's so funny that he's so despairing on himself, but we are literally shown it occurring. But it was walk or die, Sam knew. Gilly is still, of course, weak from childbirth and carrying the babe besides. She needed the horse, and the second one, whoops, he'd kill.
So they get inside one of the homes, and Sam has Gilly make a fire because he's useless, he thinks.
Cut himself doing it, which is a large theme in this book of our characters fucking up their hand and losing some function of their hand. Catelyn, John, many characters get their hands just sliced, particularly. Jamie? Jamie and Theon, maybe. And he goes to poke around the village and thinks that, this is what John did last time. He has no idea what he's looking for.
And this is where he admits to himself that this is definitely not White Tree.
Yeah.
This sucks, but it's not White Tree.
Yeah, because he finds nothing, so he stops for a minute at the werewood.
And he prays to the old gods.
Yeah. the eyes weep blood, and he's like, I don't remember that.
So he says, if you're there, help us. Do you think that that's why Coldhands shows up right now?
No. I don't. I think they're already on him. They've been watching Sam and Gilly since they left Crastor's.
When he was asking this, it really made me think of Asha talking to Bran.
Oh, 100%. Like
about the gods speaking.
This is heard. They're not here because Sam is doing this. Like they were already
right.
They were already nearby. Like legit, Coldhands is like, oh, buddy, don't worry. Like just rest easy tonight. We got you. We'll get you out of here if the others catch up. Like. Sam is, and I love it because he specifically says he doesn't know if Jon's gods hear him. And it's so funny that he's calling them Jon's gods because, I mean, Jon is kind of lost in the sauce right now, and I don't really know who he would particularly say he would call a god at this moment in time. Like the old gods, he's struggling with some stuff.
I still think he prays
100%, but it's not to the point that like Sam is making it at like Jon's gods. Like
they're gods that he worships.
They're more Ned Stark's gods that Jon tries to uphold because of that. Like Jon isn't.
I think they're more
holier
Jon's gods
than
now
thou
than ever Ned's at this point. After seeing the giants and thinking more along the children worship the old gods.
I'm not saying Jon doesn't epitomize.
He's
not
saying it's Jon's
worship. I'm not disparaging Sam saying it. I'm saying that Jon isn't as pious as that sentence makes it sound.
I didn't take it that way. I just didn't take it as him making him out to be pious. He's just mentioning that he was a Southern God believer before Jon, and
he's standing in a wildling village, and it's Jon Snow's gods that he's
the ones
the wildlings gods don't seem to hear him. Like it's just
I don't know that he sees them affiliated with the wildlings.
That's what's bizarre. He's in there. It's their like that's what's crazy to me about this is it's Jon Snow is what he's saying. Like that's what he's and like you're in a wild like it just. Situationally, why is Jon Snow on his brain? Like, it's I get it that that's his introduction to it, but you're standing in a fucking wildling village, brah. Like, praying to their heart tree. Like,
right.
And so it's just an interesting that he's like, I don't know if Jon Snow Targaryen's gods are hearing me right now. Harumph. Like, all right, Sam. Like, you've got this weird. I don't know, elevating Jon to this status of battling with the whitewalkers or something. There's some weird inherent where Sam is equating some power to Jon, I think, with the old gods. And I don't think he's even remotely aware of it on a level that he could direct it to. This stood out to me as one of the more interesting bits of the chapter is that it's Jon Snow's gods when he's standing in the north in the haunted forest in a wildling village that he thinks could be White Tree, and it's Jon Snow's gods. But I digress. We can move on. Sam returns to the long hall where Gilly has the fire roaring and is feeding that babe.
The baby. She asks how far from the wall they are. And he lies to her.
Yeah, he lies. He doesn't know 100%.
A few days.
Not far at all.
And this is where, he has the maps. He knows how far the wall would be from specific points. He has no fucking clue where he is on the map because they've had to, and he mentions it here, I think it is, that he's come to hate lakes and fucking rivers, which is very funny that he's coming to hate lakes and rivers when the next chapter we're going to have some people that probably hate some lakes and rivers themselves with Sandor and Arya, but because he has to go the fuck around them. He can't just...
I mean, if we, to back up for a second on that last statement, you take everything as their symbolism, the Tullys are the rivers. Lots of people already do hate the Tullys, and that's exactly what they're headed towards. So, 100%, there's these interesting, and it's the same thing that Catelyn and her band are dealing with right now.
'cause it's all
There's no
muddy
bridges,
up and-
there's no ferries up here. They have to either cross, ford, or find a way around everything. And he thinks if Bannon or Dywin were here, they'd already be at fucking Castle Black roasting their little toesies and enjoying some hot mold fucking wine.
Which similarly is also coming off of the Catelyn chapter. You know, that's kind of what you're expecting from the Frogmen, the
Howland
Crannogmen,
Reed.
and Howland Reed,
Yeah.
and them moving around the marshes and doing some wild shit there.
Well, what's your take then on Bannon is dead and Dywin left with Grant and Ed and the others on Kat's situation? Catelyn's dead and the Blackfish fled with...
Right. There you go. Perfect.
What the fuck are we even doing? So Sam reminds himself how big the wall is, and he's like, you know, we just literally have to go south.
We
and
will
at some
eventually-
point,
yeah, right.
it should show up. Like, it just has to. But then he's like, but the issue is kind of then how far east or west we've strayed, because we need to hit it kind of at the sweet spot, exactly where fucking Castle Black is.
Right.
Because that's the only way in for hundreds of leagues. And Gilly's like, is the wall as big as Crastor used to say? And Sam's like, oh, bigger, of course, and blah, 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 and goes on and on about all the fires.
Yeah, this is where he starts getting himself into, like, he's really kind of just being very assumptive. Granted, he does kind of
about what she's going to be able to do. And
yeah, we'll give you all the food you want. You can sit by the fire. Horse shit. Like, the half of the people at the wall, regardless, are going to allow a wildling
through,
woman,
right.
even if you're not quote-unquote a wildling, because you're Crastor's woman, but
right.
you're as close to a wildling as
You're
ever
right.
gonna get.
You're Crastor's bitch. That's disgusting, and
Right.
your vile thing is going to be about the nicest greeting Gilly gets. And yeah, Gilly, sweet as pie. She's like, could me and the baby just stand by the fire? Just not for a long time, just till we're warm. And it's all
And
right.
he's like, you can sit there.
Yeah, as
forever.
long as you like. And it's like, Sam, you're getting caught up in this kind of this song of it too. And he talks to the food and says one of the brothers will sing, and she asks if he would sing some southern song for the babe. And Sam's like, yeah, you know, I used to sing, but Randall Tarley is a cunt, and
didn't let me. He's
right, like literally fucking traumatized it out of Sam. So Gilly's like, yo, sing me a song, sing the baby song.
And so he does.
Bah.
He sings the song of the seven.
Turn down for 7. Wap, 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 wap. Yeah, Sam lays it down, yo. Like,
Yeah.
And it's a banger. And the last time he had sung the song, go ahead and read it, because...
Oh, I'm not gonna.
No, not you.
Oh.
I'm talking to the listeners.
Well,
Yeah.
don't.
You were supposed to already have read it.
I have read
Oh,
it. I wasn't
okay.
going to read it here.
No,
on...
right.
My God.
No, go ahead and read it. It's pretty straightforward. There isn't really any hidden meaning I found.
Right,
It's a
it's
song
the
about
seven.
the religion and what they all represent. And, yeah.
And now I want to point out how fucking wildly astute Gilly is.
One sec, because we get one more heartbreak, because he says the last time he sung that song was with his mother to get baby Dickon to sleep. But Randall, of course, had heard from somewhere, like, he literally just paces around the castle listening for fucking happiness, and is like, nope,
Right, he walks,
nope,
he's like,
there it
"Ah,
is.
pansy,
And yeah,
sing,
kicks
get
open the
out
door,
of
and he's
there."
like, you already fucked up one of my sons with this soft septon song bullshit. Go sing to your sisters, little fat boy. I don't want you near my son. Which, like, okay, all right. So that's why, like, Sam is as, you know, fucked to himself as he is right there. Got it. That's, you know, just important to highlight. And then, yeah, the baby is asleep, because she notes that the baby...
Doesn't have a name yet.
Doesn't have a name
and
yet.
isn't allowed because it's bad luck to name a kid before he hits 2 years old, because, you know, you're assuming he's going to live that long.
But yeah, I love it, because you can see the gears turning with Gilly, because at first she tells him, you sing good. And, like, Sam's like, you know, oh, thanks.
Thank you.
Blush. And, like, Gilly's kind of quiet for a minute, and then she's like...
Thought you said there were
like,
seven
yeah, well, I always heard
gods.
there were 7, but you only sang 6. And he's like, yeah, the stranger danger, we don't really sing of him.
He's bad. We don't sing of death.
And Sam, so, like, even just mentioning the stranger makes him uncomfortable. So they eat a bit of the black sausage that some of Crastor's wives gave him, which isn't bad after you chew it. And Sam goes out to tend the horse. It's cold enough that he decides to bring the poor thing inside so it won't freeze. And he begins to worry what he'll do with Gilly at Castle Black, which right now reality is he's starting to kind of think through the logistics, but then thinks, and isn't wrong, so long as we reach the wall alive, the rest doesn't matter. And like that's the mindset he's in. They're fleeing from the fucking others. Let's reach civilization to some degree before we worry about
the others in mutiny. Like let's get
in a mutiny. So yeah, 100%. He's a little focused just on
so he
survival.
brings the horse in. They all curl up, and not the horse. The horse has to stand by himself in the corner.
He had some wood to the fire, and they get under Sam's cloak with Gilly, and he likes sleeping next to her. It reminds him of sharing a bed with his sisters when he was little, and until, again, cunt Tarly decided to put an end to that, which, again, is just, like... Jeez.
You're fucking...
Yeah, man, he tells him to go sing to his sisters, so he starts bonding with his sisters, and, like, I'm reading it as entirely just wholesome, like... Sam, was up late giggling with his sisters, and Tarly came in and was like, you're a boy, they're girls, you can't be in the same bed, even though you're siblings, and you're not Lannisters, and put an end to it. Like, fuck off, man, fuck off. So Sam is like, I wonder what good old dad would say if he could see me now, and he imagines telling him that I killed another, sir, and the Black brothers call me Sam the Slayer now, but he can only ever picture scowling disbelief on...
Which is all that Tarly can do.
That's all he gave him, yeah.
And that's all, as I recall, come feast, that's all that
he's capable of, right, yeah. Because we get to see how fucking threatened he is by Brienne, which is great, because he does not like her.
Right.
But, yeah, and then he has a pretty strange dream.
I mean, how strange is it, really?
I love that this is what's used to... That was very good, Dr. Pepper, by the way. I love that this dream is used to springboard into the end here, the horror scene, because it makes the part at the end of the dream, the part that technically should be the warmest and kind of, best part, like... scariest for me, and I love it so much. So he's the Lord of Hornhill and is feasting all of his friends. Fucking primo dream.
Yo, cutting meat with Heartsbane.
John's there, the old bear, sword. Ed, Grin, Pip, Toad, all his other brothers, but instead of the gross dreary blacks, they're all dressed in bright colors. And yeah, Sam's just slicing meat with Heartsbane. And there's food, there's drinks, there's singing, there's dancing, and most importantly, everyone is warm. And after the feast, he retired to the room that he had once shared with his sisters. Only Gilly waits in the large bed for him now, naked, but for a shaggy fur, and there is milk leaking from her breasts. And that is when he wakes suddenly in cold dread. And it's just so good that it's Gilly and his thought of sort of the thing that's right next to him that draws him back in. But it's also that, like, oh.
And I think a lot of it has to do with the temperature, the cold.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
In the dream, it's warm, she's warm, it's warm. Cold, dread, wake up.
And this is 100% his fear of his boner for Gilly. Like, he's a virgin.
Right.
He wants her in a way he
vowed not to,
and never thought that he could ever come close to.
Right.
The only girls he's ever slept close to are his sisters, and of course he wasn't interested in that. Gilly, there's absolutely no reason, if she's, willing, that these two shouldn't couple, and he's aroused by it, and I think it's 100% that fear of it, and it's that teenage, like, holy shit, and then there's also the supernatural others. So, yeah, he wakes suddenly in cold and dread. The fire had burned down to embers, and the air itself seemed frozen. It was so cold. The horse is kind of starting to lose its shit. And Gilly's just chilling. Like, she's up by the fire, like, clutching the baby, like...
What kind of fucked, Sam?
Yeah, Sam, I was gonna wake you, but, like, what good would it do?
Yeah. A shadow in the corner moves.
Sam tries to tell himself it's nothing, and then he, like, starts coming at him, and he's like, oh, no. So... he prays to be asleep when he realizes that he has seen this man die. And Gilly starts shrieking that he's come for the babe. Babe's reek of newborn life. He's come for the life. Which that's my favorite line. He's come for the life.
He's here for the life.
It's the best line in the books. And yeah, she's losing her shit. And as it approaches, the shadow becomes Small Paul and like just terrifying.
Gross.
And Sam's bladder lets go. He tells Gilly, you take the horse and you lead it out. You do that. You do that now. Which,
he says this coldly.
Dude, like, brave as shit. Gilly fucking does it. Braver than shit. The white looks at Gilly, but Sam yells to draw its fucking, like,
yeah, no. Look
attention.
Look at me.
He has a dragon glass dagger. Luckily, he remembered to take it from Mormont. He moves away from Gilly.
And tries to plead with Small Paul's humanity.
All the while wondering why he's such a coward.
Right.
Why he's such a like, you're literally like waving, hey, look at me, hey, yeah, no, don't attack them, don't attack the innocent baby and woman, like, and oh man, I'm such a coward, why do I suck? And yeah, he's praying for just a little courage, just a little bit for Gilly to get away.
He at least musters up enough courage to lunge at the fucking thing when the horse neighs, grabs the attention of Small Paul, and then Sam yells and goes in.
Yeah, starts going nuts, stabbing.
But Small Paul still has his chainmail on.
Well, we learn as well that, like, because the knife goes in, it just doesn't really seem to affect the whites
I don't think
as
it
much.
Pierced
it
his
doesn't
armor.
puncture
No,
him?
it doesn't pierce the chainmail and doesn't even hit him before it shatters because he breaks it off of the chainmail. And now you're fucked, Sam.
Sam tries to grab his other knife, but yeah, no, his throat's grabbed real quick. He loses the second dagger and is just getting fucking choked out, and it's horrid until he throws his way forward. Like,
really,
he's a heavy dude.
I'm a big dude.
Yeah.
Small Paul's big too, but with the
whites are clumsy. They're damaged. Yeah, they're gross.
Can't sustain both of their weight, and he takes it down to the floor.
Gets Sam enough to get a breath before the hand's back at his throat, and he's scrambling for something.
And he pulls a Jon Snow.
Yeah, he finds a smoldering piece of wood. And
it's so funny how much he's channeling Jon
with the hand.
In this whole chapter, with the following
peeking
his footsteps
through, and yeah. He
praying to Jon's gods.
Slams it into Paul's face so hard that teeth smash. Like, he's just literally calling himself a coward this whole
and
thing.
A weakling, and he's...
the thing would have choked me to death and I would have died pissing my pants and shitting all over myself. Like, Samwell Tarly is heroic as fuck in this chapter where he's just
But he thinks nothing happens with the log going through.
Dude, it's so cool. Like, this beat that it takes is just so fucking cool and riddled with tension.
And it's just because of the fact that it was an embered log, it needed to help, it needed to be stoked a little bit inside of Small Paul's head.
Sam just blew him some butterfly kisses. And Small Paul's face ignites.
And the blue eyes are gone.
The magic's gone, bitch. So Sam stumbles out of the long hall coughing, spitting up some blood, and calling for Gilly.
We're good, we did it,
Gilly is currently backed up against the werewood, and she's like, hey, Sam, there's more. And the whites are closing in. They've already got the horse down. They're ripping out its entrails.
Chickadee, Chet.
And Sam sees Lark, Softfoot, Riles, Chet, Hake, and it's just like, motherfucker.
Well, and the whites killed the horse.
Yeah, the horse, man. Getting chewed
horse.
up. Like, just the worst zombie apocalypse scenario.
And Sam is just, it's not fair. It's not fair.
A raven lands on his shoulder. Of course, not a raven, let's be honest here.
Fair, far, fear.
Mormont's raven, 100%.
The fuck.
Which means blood raven. The leaves of the werewood tree begin to rustle. The starlight itself seems to stir. Sam notices the ravens in the trees, thousands of them, as they descend on the whites, shrieking, tearing them apart, essentially. And the raven starts to shriek at him, go, go, go! And Sam fucking books it. Runs to Gilly, grabs her, and is like, oh, fuck, the horse is dead. What do we do? And he hears, Brother, look this way.
Yo, it's motherfucking Garrett.
Jesus Christ. And sees a rider on an elk. a very, very large elk. And so he notices that the man is wearing blacks, and he's like, yeah, that matters, and runs over.
That's
and
important.
The elk lowers itself so that they can get up. Gilly and the babe go up first, and as Sam grabs the hand, he notices that it's fucking Coldhands!
It's Coldhands. It's not a glove. He's got these gross, dead, stone black fingers.
And...
Clothes. Goddamn, we got Coldhands, dude.
We got Coldhands.
We got Coldhands.
So, a little bit more of a back-heavy chapter than a front-heavy, but...
Yeah. So that right there at the end was when he heard the rustling of the leaves right before the ravens come in. That's where I was...
The old God speaking to you, child?
Yeah, like that's where I noted that for Ashra.
The starlight
and
itself,
that, they're calling now. They're saying, like, it's time to go. Get in there. Act.
Right, and then Blood Ravens fucking just straight up, like, go, run now, go,
Run,
go,
my
go,
guy's
go,
right
go,
there.
go,
My
right.
guy right there.
Like, the whites are distracted, the Ravens are fucking them up, get that bitch and go.
Yeah, so this one really steps up the creep factor in the back end, which is very similar to...
I'm pretty sure... I could be wrong, but this is the final, like, creep factor one, because I think the next one is Sam converge, like, we see Sam through Bran's eyes next, and they're back beyond the wall, so this is...
and to me, it's almost identical in the... And I should have been a good podcaster and done my research and went and checked the chapter where John first encounters the white when he saves Mormont, and he damages his hand, grabbing the fire and all that, because it's very back-heavy, similarly, where it's this creepy tone, and then all of a sudden, boom, and... It's good stuff. I like it a lot.
Yeah, let's convene our small council. We'll get some inductees, and...
Hopefully you're a lot less of a dickhead in that part.
Not likely.
Ravens. They were in the weirwood, hundreds of them, thousands, perched on the bone-white branches, peering between the leaves. He saw their beaks open as they screamed, saw them spread their black wings. Shrieking, flapping, they descended on the whites in angry clouds. They swarmed round Chet's face and pecked at his blue eyes. They covered the sister men like flies. They plucked gobbets from inside Hake's shattered head. There were so many that when Sam looked up, he could not see the moon. Creepy chapter, dude.
For old God Hakes.
I hate you. That really took me a whole fucking second to figure out what the fuck you were doing.
Welcome to the Small Council for Samwell 3 of A Storm of Swords, which leaves us, I believe, with only 2 Sam's chapters left in this book, which is real fun.
Yeah, you're the one tracking those. I have no idea, so glad
And so you got an inductee for this Samwell chapter.
Oh, shit, no, I didn't think of that at all, so...
Mine's going to the horse who gave their life so bravely.
Which one?
So that the one at the end there who was getting his entrails picked out, because clearly he was getting his entrails picked out because he was fucking squaring up with some whites and being like, yo, get off my girl and her babe. And they were like, we got to take this horse down. It's way too dangerous. It's going to fuck everything up. We got to kill him first. And so, like, he was way too powerful.
True
had
champion.
to be, like, that's what's crazy is that, like, it took, like, the leader, whatever leader of the others there is in the books that we haven't seen, they came and killed the horse.
Yeah,
and like,
sure. That's what led to Coldhands even making an appearance here, because he wouldn't have shown up had the leader of the whites
100%.
not had been there
100%.
to kill this horse.
So the non-existent leader of the whites showed up and killed this horse, so the horse is getting my inductee.
Nice. That's a good one. Maybe we can get, like, Lady Stoneheart to give her life to give the gift to the horse and bring the horse back. Maybe that's why
I'm pretty sure that's like a show you can see in Tijuana. And so, like,
all right. No, never mind. We don't want to.
Inductee?
I'm gonna give it to Sam Weltardy.
Yeah,
just because I didn't pick
if
one
any chapter
beforehand,
is a good one.
And he deserves it.
Literally, like, one of his bravest chapters.
Again, he's
hands down from start to
regardless of the fact that
close.
he's talking mad shit about himself the entire
who
chapter.
doesn't? Like, that's a mood.
Right, everyone bashes themselves worse than anybody else. If anyone in this entire series has shown bravery, it's this motherfucker right here. Because he's, And sure, fuck it.
Fuck everyone else. Like he's so out of his element.
He has been thrown to the ground and pushed down and convinced that he's this piece of shit. To still break out of that and protect this woman and her child to the best he possibly, because he obviously didn't know and would not have sent her out there if he had been aware that there were thousands more of those fucking whites waiting outside.
Sure.
He let her go while maintaining the attention of Small Paul in zombie form, and then fucking fisticuffs this thing in the cold while pissing himself, which probably gave him a nice little warm
I'm
burst.
sure a nice.
I mean, that's the point of flight or fight. Fight or flight. I just had him flipped it backwards. That's all. So Samwell Tarly's my inductee.
That's a good one too.
He fucking deserves.
Yeah, I mean, he does. It's not. I would say the only other person I'm willing to equate bravery-wise for what they have to go through is Brienne. I think Brienne and Sam are of the same vein because of shit that they've had to overcome based on societal shit. But that's neither here nor there. We, I believe, only have the one inductee this time around from Kristen, who we always appreciate hearing from. And since it's just the one this week, we'll go ahead and read this whole email out because it's just good. She said she couldn't pull a ton of analysis out of this one, which it's a pretty short, succinct one, so I'll let you guys do your thing and keep it short. And she says that she tends to like the more villainous characters.
That's Zach.
It is. The more cold and ruthless, the better. But damn it, Sam is just so heartwarming.
I'm the sucker for the heartwarming. Sam, even on the first read through, I used to annoy the shit out of Zach when he was reading through it, because as I recall, you despise
I really
Sam.
didn't like Sam.
Where I was like, no, he's the greatest. I love Sam. And you were like, just shut the fuck up. I hate this guy. But
Kristen says, I'll induct Gilly for similar reasons that she would have inducted Sam. She may be tremendously naive and sheltered, understandable since she probably hasn't ventured more than 10 feet from Crastor's door, but she is stupidly brave.
Yo, for real.
Escaping from Crastor's mid-mutiny to save her son, facing off against the elements, and the supernatural. Sam's chapters have been the most reminiscent of horror stories so far, but these two still manage to provide some of the most trademarked wholesome content. And so, thank you, Kristen, because, Gilly.
Yeah, I'm gonna highlight your stupidly brave comment there. She is just sitting up holding the babe when Sam wakes up. Just like, hey, there's a scary shadow man in the corner.
Right, like, can I have a glass of water?
Right?
There's a scary man in my bedroom. Can I have a glass of water?
Let's go back to the...
I'm sorry, what'd you just say, dear?
You know what? You're okay with it. Let's get you that glass of water.
Yeah.
Let's get you that glass of water. So, if you would like to write in like Kristen did, thank you so much for doing so, Kristen. You can send us an email. Our email is withoutmannersbrotherhood@gmail.com. You can also send us a message over on Facebook, I suppose, facebook.com/brotherhoodpodcast. I'm on Twitter @mannerswithout. Zach's on Twitter @carstark92. You can check out our website for links to everything, brotherhoodwithout.com. We also are somewhat involved on doing this thing called Patreon. Patreon.com/withoutmanners. We're putting together some, what are they called? Dunkin' Egg episodes for you. I believe at this point it's out that we will be making some guest appearances here coming up soon. And so we can finally state that on the air. If you're looking worried and concerned, are you worried that I'm going to announce a little bit too much here?
You can't say who. You can only say that word.
I'm going to say who it is.
Don't.
I'm going to say who it is. No, we get in trouble.
Cut this.
Can't do that.
Right. We are sworn. We're not sworn to anything. We're gonna be popping around. So, like, if you have other podcasts that you like, maybe keep a listen out because you might be hearing your boys
in the Thrones fandom.
Stop it. I'm gonna fucking throw.
Okay, I can't do anymore.
So send us your inductees. Next, we're gonna be leading Arya 9. Arya and her new bestest friend Sandor Clegane are gonna be crossing a terrifying river.
These are the
biggest you're gonna
get. These are the chapters, dude.
And then after that, we've got John 6, where John has left his lover Ygritte and is going to be arriving home
at Castle Black.
And so send us inductees for those because, ladies and gents, after that,
Red Wedding.
It's a slippery slope.
Nice day for a red wedding.
Valor to Harris.
Peace.